Esteemed citizens of St. Martin, today it is imperative that I provide you with an update on this Ennia saga. Since my last appearance in Parliament, I have continued to carefully investigate the outline agreement and also explore alternative solutions. My intention was to go to Parliament again this week to provide answers to the questions posed. However, due to an error in the date provided by Parliament, which led to a misunderstanding, the meeting will be rescheduled. Aside from answering the questions, it is vital that I provide you, the residents of St. Martin, and specifically the St. Martin Ennia policyholders, with an update. My main focus remains on two groups: the St. Martin policyholders and Country St. Martin. It is important to understand that St. Martin can cover and repay what is owed to its policyholders, specifically what they have contributed to their pension policy. The problem lies mainly with Curaçao, who cannot independently cover the obligations for their policyholders. If Ennia were to go bankrupt, Curaçao would face significant problems, which could also impact the Central Bank of Curaçao and St. Martin, and by default will impact St. Martin because of the joint monetary union. This is why, according to the Dutch, the continuation of Ennia is necessary and was linked to the COVID loans. I would emphasize once again, I do not agree with the correlation of forced higher interest rates of a global pandemic loan being linked to saving a private entity. This is a prime example of how we are being penalized due to the joint monetary union. It raises a significant question that we as St. Martin may need to thoroughly investigate. Is this union truly in our best interest? One major concern in the outline agreement is something called the PIC facility. To explain it simply, the PIC facility is an indirect loan that would be used if the funds contributed by the countries are not enough to meet the financial obligations of this new foundation called the Resolution Fund. While St. Martin can meet its obligations, Curaçao cannot, and under the current setup, both countries would share the loan. This construct will lead to St. Martin being tricked into covering costs that don't belong to us, which I, as Minister of Finance, cannot in good conscience allow. When I requested to exclude St. Martin from this PIC facility arrangement and just let St. Martin pay the amount owed yearly to the St. Martin policyholders, I discovered more information. It turns out that under this signed agreement, St. Martin is not only covering its own policyholders, but also paying millions for the BES and Suriname policyholders. Initially, I was informed by my advisor, who was part of the initial discussions, that Curaçao had stated that they would cover the Suriname policyholders. But when he asked for clarification, he was told by Curaçao that only what's signed in the agreement matters, not what was promised or discussed. This shows how important it is to carefully review and comprehend any agreement before signing it. This is the exact reason I am taking my time to understand this agreement and why I have been stating that this is not in the benefit of Country St. Martin. Additionally, St. Martin's share includes a significant amount to cover the yearly execution costs for the new foundation. It is important that St. Martin taxpayers know that based on this signed outline agreement, they are not only covering the St. Martin policyholders' expenses. In addition, the taxpayers of St. Martin will also be paying millions for the costs of policyholders of the BES and Suriname, and also the yearly operational expenses of a private company. While our own St. Martin companies are suffering, we are completely aiding and abetting a privately owned company, Ennia, with its primary benefits, taxes, and social premiums, employment being in Curaçao, which I absolutely do not agree with. We posed many questions. We questioned why these costs are so high and what they cover exactly. We also questioned why the countries have to cover these costs. Are no costs being covered by the new Ennia or by investments made? We also asked about funds that were previously seized, wondering if they were used to reduce the debt owed by the countries and how exactly. These are a few matters that came to light after our request to be excluded from the PIC facility and just commit to paying what is owed to the St. Martin policyholders on a yearly basis. These matters were discussed with the central bank technical team, who understood our valid concerns, and they agreed to draft an addendum to make St. Martin's obligations and commitments clearer, as I deem this very important to prevent future mix-ups and discussions on who agreed to pay what. Some of the proposed changes include, but not limited to, 1. Separating the PIC facility so that St. Martin and Curacao each have their own, preventing any mixing of funds that aren't St. Martin's responsibility. 2. Excluding BES and Suriname policyholders, focusing solely on St. Martin policyholders. 3. Setting up a separate administration for St. Martin policyholders. 4. Clearly defining who qualifies as a St. Martin policyholder to prevent misunderstandings. 5. First rights to the purchase of Mullet Bay. 6. Outlining our yearly obligations in a new addendum, showing that St. Martin will not need to rely on the PIC facility, which avoids additional interest costs. The only reason we would need to make use of the separate St. Martin PIC facility would be if the central bank fails to provide the promised dividend. And lastly, with these adjustments, we won't need to budget 200,000 guilders per year, which we are now forced to do as we don't expect to use the PIC facility. We have received this addendum from the technical team on Monday and are carefully reviewing it. As your Minister of Finance, I took an oath to act in the best interest of St. Martin and its people. Allowing Parliament to approve the current agreement without doing everything possible to ensure it benefits St. Martin would be a disservice to our country, and that is something I cannot accept. The connection to the COVID loans, which I still oppose and find unfair, means we are being pressured because if we don't comply, we will face financial penalties with higher interest rates. However, I am determined to do everything in my power to ensure that we do not take on costs that have nothing to do with St. Martin, even if that means temporarily having a higher interest rate, as it would save the country of St. Martin millions in the long run. Remember when it was said that nothing can be changed? The proof is in the pudding. It can, has, and will continue to change to ensure the benefit and interest of country and the people of St. Martin. We are in ongoing communication with the technical team, asking important questions and requesting changes and clarifications that will protect and safeguard our country from being liable for hidden costs within the signed outline agreement. Once our review is complete, my intention is to present Parliament with this revised addendum to the outline agreement, an agreement I hope to fully support because the current terms are not acceptable. To the policyholders of St. Martin, please rest assured that your contributions are secured. However, it is my duty as the Minister of Finance to make sure that this contract is not to the detriment of country St. Martin. I remain at your disposal for any further clarifications needed. Thank you for your attention. Your continued support is greatly appreciated. I hope this provides more insight in what I have been continuously saying pertaining to this signed outline agreement, which is not in the benefit of country St. Martin. As your Minister of Finance, I, Marinka Gumbs, remain committed to keeping you informed, providing you with accurate information, and working in the benefit of St. Martin and its people.